Welcome, my dear students. Welcome, my dear students. We are back into another lecture. This is lecture 5 in the ethics, and the business ethics. This is lecture 5. And I will move forward now into a new topic. We'll talk about the conflict of interest. We see the conflict of interest when a business is attempted to put profits before social welfare. So if I care about the profits more than I care about the social welfare, more than I care about the social responsibility, then this is a conflict of interest. What I will choose? Shall I choose the social responsibility, or I will choose the profits? Because both of them are conflict with each other. Both of them are contradicted with each other. Responsibility to customers, and we took an example here about the Food and Drugs Administration. This is one of the examples for the Food and Drugs Administration. It's a government agency, protects consumers from dangerous or falsely advertised products. This is about the FDA, and it has to admit the medicines first. As an example, you know, very recent about the COVID, there was like admission to be accepted from the Food and Drugs Administration before it is announced like it's acceptable and approved to be consumed by the patients and the sick people, any medicine like this. FDA governs advertising and labeling all over the counter medicines. So the FDA, this is in the United States, governs advertising and labeling all over the counter medicines. Analyze why the FDA officials feel that the regulations of advertising and packaging label is necessary. Of course, labeling is very important because it gives instructions about the use, how to use the product. So once it's right, yeah. So once it's right, then everything will be fine. The responsibility to customers. What about the responsibility to customers? Fair competition between business is healthy for the marketplace, but sometimes some companies don't always play reasonably. Some companies, they don't play it reasonably. That's why we say the fair competition. We know we have many types of competitions in the markets. We have a free market competition, we have monopoly, we have oligopoly. And those are the main kinds of competition. So these types also, each one of them has a kind of responsibility to the customers itself. Some companies use unethical means to eliminate competition. Of course, like as example, penetrating. They use the penetrating, some of the companies which use penetrating markets, they consider this as unethical behavior. Penetrating, they consider the penetrating as an ethical behavior because you try to win the market, you reduce the price, you make a dumping prices. Dumping prices mean that you put your prices lower than the other rivals or the other competitors. So you try to win a bigger slide of the market by doing like this. And this is also, they consider it unethical behavior. One of the most common means is to conspire with other companies to control the market for a product. Responsibilities to employees. Business have a social responsibility to create jobs. That's true. Yes. They're expected to provide employees with safe working conditions, equal treatment, and fair pay. We mentioned this before about the responsibility to employees. They are what? They are safe working conditions, equal treatment, and fair pay. This is why the people are working. This is why the people are working, because if those are not available, then expect a high rate of turnover in that case. Responsibilities to employees. The Equal Pay Act, this was in 1964, require that men and women be paid the same wages for doing equal work. So the equal work is done by men on women, not because a woman that I will pay for her less. No, we have to pay the equal pay or the same pay, either was a man or a woman, as long as they are doing the same job. So this we call it Equal Pay Act. It was there in the United States, 1964, and in Canada here as well from a long time ago. Responsibilities of two employees, the American with Disabilities Act. This is an example, but what happened in America happened elsewhere in the world. So it means we have here in Canada also a Disability Act. In back home Egypt, there is Disability Act. Everywhere there is a Disabilities Act. Bans discrimination against persons with physical or mental disability. So they have the right to live, they have the right to earn, to win. And the law put a percentage of the total employees that will be accepted with disabilities to work. So like as example, 5% of the employees should be with disabilities, or whatever the percentage is different from a country to another country. This allow to accept people with disabilities to do the job. Reasonability to employees, it's a company best interest to treat its worker fairly. Look at this, treat its workers fairly. Otherwise, low morale, poor productivity, and a high turnover rate are its troubles, because if you didn't treat them fairly, then expect a high turnover rate. Again, if you didn't treat the workers, if you did not treat the workers fairly, then expect a high turnover rate. That's what will happen. What about reasonability, responsibility to the society? And this is another point, responsibility to the society. The business have responsibilities not only to the customers and to employees, but also to the societies as well. The responsibility is also to the society as a whole, not only to the employees, because the employees are a part of the total society. They are a part of the total society. Responsibility to society is given an example with the United States in 1970. The United States government created an environmental protection agency. Environmental protection agency. What is the Environmental Protection Agency? It's a federal agency that enforces rules that protect the environment and control pollution. That's very important. Again, I will say the Environmental Protection Agency is a federal agency that enforces rules that protect the environment and control pollutions. Many business plans for their social responsibility, just like planning for production and sales of their products. Many business plan for the social, like we said before, it must be the social responsibility. Social responsibility must be taken into the consideration while we are planning. While a company is planning, it must take the social responsibility into the consideration for their social responsibilities, just like planning for production and sale of their products. Okay, so I have here two questions now. Define the social responsibility is the first question today. Define the social responsibility is our first question here. And the second question is, what is the conflict of interest? Let me remind you back with the conflict of interest, and I will say the conflict of interest means that you have two positive objects or two positive goals, and you are confused in between them, which goal you will practice, which one you will choose, and which one you will leave. We give an example with the coffee example. Like I told you, you have two kinds of countries, good countries and evil countries. Evil countries treat the workers in a very bad way, but they export the coffee for a cheaper price. But the good countries, they treat the workers in a good way, and the wages are the pays for the workers or employees, they are very high, but the total cost of the export will increase. So if you buy from evil countries, you will purchase or you will import the coffee with a lower price and a lower cost, and that will make you have a good profit, a high profit. So evil countries will lead to high profits. Evil countries will lead to high profits. But on the other hand, if you buy from a good countries, the cost will be higher to import your coffee, but so the imports will be higher, and in the same time, this imports will be higher, and your imports cost will be higher, and your profits will be low. So a high level of profits with an evil country without a social responsibility, or you choose a high level of social responsibility with a lower profits. This is a conflict of interest. This is the meaning of the conflict of interest. So this was a point that we handle. Shall see you in the next video. Stay safe. Thank you so much.